Imagine waking up to the sound of explosions shaking your city and realizing the most powerful military alliance in the world just declared war on your country on June 13th, 2025. That's exactly what happened in Tehran. Israeli jets tore through the sky. Less than 2 weeks later, US forces joined in with Operation Midnight Hammer. But here's the question everyone's asking. Was this really about stopping nuclear weapons? Or is there a bigger game being played for power, money, and control of the entire Middle East? Why did the US and Israel attack Iran? A story of tensions and consequences. In the early hours of June 13th, 2025, the sky over Tehran lit up with flashes as Israeli fighter jets launched a large-scale airstrike on Iranian nuclear facilities and military strongholds. High-rise buildings were engulfed in flames, and panicked residents poured into the streets. The commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards and several nuclear scientists were killed, pushing the long-standing Iranian conflict into an all-out war. Iran immediately retaliated with hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones targeting Israel. Then, on June 22nd, the US launched Operation Midnight Hammer, attacking 3 Iranian nuclear sites with bunker buster bombs and cruise missiles. In February 2026, the US and Israel launched another large-scale offensive, with US strikes targeting multiple military sites across Iran, firing back at US and Israeli facilities in the Middle East. The reasons behind the attacks. Israel's motivations. Nuclear threat concerns. By May, Iran had acquired 408.6 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, enough to make 9 to 10 nuclear warheads, and could convert it to weapons-grade 90% uranium in 2 weeks. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warned that Iran was developing nuclear weapons secretly and could complete a test device within months and an initial one within a year, posing an existential threat to Israel, blocking the anti-Israel alliance. Iran has supported groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, pro-Iranian forces in Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen, forming an axis of resistance around Israel. Israel believed Iran was behind increased drone attacks, border clashes, and cyber terrorism, and decided to eliminate Iran's military command to break this in domestic political calculations. Netanyahu was facing the risk of coalition government collapse and sought to unite the country by creating a conflict with an external enemy, a strategy Israel had used before in the Gaza Strip. US motivations. Geopolitical strategy. The US sees Israel as a forward base in the Middle East to contain Iran, Russia, and China, and protect key shipping lanes, like the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz. It has provided over $350 billion in military aid to Israel since 1948. Petrodollar and de-dollarization. The US aims to maintain the petrodollar system and prevent as Iran has been pushing for oil trade in currencies other than the dollar. It also wants to disrupt the Iran-Rushikina partnership and divide BRICS. Regime change attempt. The US and Israel hoped the attacks would trigger popular unrest and overthrow the Iranian government, with Trump urging Iranians to take this once-in-a-generation chance. The aftermath. Limited success of attacks. While the US claimed to have severely damaged Iran's nuclear program, assessments varied. Iran's nuclear infrastructure was partially damaged but not destroyed, and its missile stockpile was much larger than expected, allowing it to retaliate effectively. Public backlash in Iran. Instead of causing unrest, the attacks unified the Iranian people against Israel and the US with the bombing of Evin prison, increasing public hatred. Regional and global impact. The conflict raised fears of a fifth Middle East war, with risks of the Strait of Hormuz being blocked and global oil prices soaring. It also exposed fault lines in the global order and the limits of military dominance. All right, folks, That wraps up our deep dive into this hypothetical scenario of how tensions between the US, Israel, and Iran could boil over into full-blown conflict. What we've seen here is that every action has a reaction, and when it comes to military strikes, the consequences rarely match what's planned. Nuclear concerns, regional alliances, political pressures, and economic interests all played their part in pushing this situation to the edge. But the end result was far from the solution many had hoped for. Iran's nuclear program wasn't wiped out. Its people came together instead of turning against their government, and the whole world felt the ripple effects on energy prices and global stability. If you found this analysis eye-opening, hit that like button to show your support, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive into global affairs. Drop a comment below. What do you think is the best way to address tensions between these nations? Let's have a respectful conversation about it. And as always, stay informed, stay curious, and let's keep working towards a world where dialogue comes before conflict.